Welcome everyone, this is On Just Restart, and this time we're going to be talking about how there's a lot of rumors that Breath of the Wild 2 will be at Game Awards 2021, and there have been some people talking about the Game Awards who will be a part of the Game Awards or who are hosting the Game Awards that may or may not be teasing something for Breath of the Wild 2 at the Game Awards. So for this video, what we're going to be doing is taking a look at some of these quote-unquote teases and discussing them, talking about if they are legitimate teases or if they are not. So that's the whole point of this video, is Breath of the Wild 2 actually getting teased for Game Awards 2021. Now before we jump into things, let me very quickly talk about my social media. You may see a few different things here on screen. You can check that all out. It is linked in the description below. And of course, if you like what you're seeing here, you can subscribe. So the first big potential tease for Breath of the Wild 2 at Game Awards 2021 is coming from Geoff Keighley, the host for the Game Awards, and this is what he tweeted. Just saw the final cut of a Game Awards world premiere we've been working on with the developer for 2.5 years. Truly honored we are entrusted to share this work with the world. So before I get to this secondary tweet from this little piece of information right here, people started to surmise that this is related to Breath of the Wild 2. Why? Because Breath of the Wild 2, about 2.5 years ago, 2.5, had its first trailer at E3 2019, and the idea is that he started working with his developer from this point on. And it's actually somewhat supported with what he continues to sort of expand upon with his secondary tweet from this one. 2.5 years sounds like a long time, but summer of 2019 was actually my last global tour to visit developers. I always have so much fun visiting studios and hearing about their projects. Hope to do it again in 2022. So with this, it makes the idea of him referring to Breath of the Wild 2 just a little bit more likely, because he does specify summer of 2019, which is when Breath of the Wild 2 had its first trailer, but also that he went on a global tour to visit developers, implying that this is a developer that's from outside of the United States of America. And Breath of the Wild is being developed by Nintendo EPD, a studio in Japan. So it's possible, it certainly is, that Geoff Keighley is teasing a Breath of the Wild 2 premiere or trailer of some sort at Game Awards 2021. But possible doesn't mean is. Two different things. There are so many other possibilities of what he could be referring to here. There are tons of developers all over the world outside of the United States. There are tons of developers who may have some sort of trailer at Game Awards 2021. To assume it's Breath of the Wild 2, it could be, but it's not even like a 90% chance it's Breath of the Wild 2. Maybe it's 10% or 15%. Let's say that he did go around on a tour worldwide summer 2019, which he said he did. I'm not going to assume he's lying, but let's say that tour included seeing what's going on with the development for Breath of the Wild 2. Let's just say, while I find that to be a little unlikely just because of how secretive Nintendo can be, maybe Nintendo would be willing to let Geoff Keighley see what's going on. There's so many other projects. Like, would Nintendo really be willing to let him tease Breath of the Wild 2 in this way with this tweet? That's also something a little bit skeptical of. I think it's more likely to assume he's referring to something else. That doesn't mean Breath of the Wild 2 can't be at the Game Awards, just to be clear. Just because Geoff Keighley isn't necessarily teasing it here, let's assume he isn't teasing it here, that doesn't mean Breath of the Wild 2 won't be at the Game Awards. But I think this tweet right here, or this set of tweets right here, doesn't really make it extremely likely, but it is possible he is teasing Breath of the Wild 2 with this because it does technically fit. It's just that there are so many other things that can also fit. But let's continue on with another thing that came out even more recently that people are jumping on the bandwagon for, assuming or hoping that it's another Breath of the Wild 2 tease for Game Awards 2021. Earlier today, Geoff Keighley pointed out that Reggie Fils-Aime will be returning to the Game Awards. It wouldn't be the Game Awards without him. We are thrilled to welcome back Reggie as a presenter next week. Which is great. Reggie Fils-Aime used to work for Nintendo, used to run Nintendo of America, has done a lot of cool things, and I would love to see him at the show. He's gonna be at the show. And Reggie even quote tweeted this and said, "This will be legendary." That's awesome. I'm excited to see Reggie return. It's gonna be nice to see the guy, and whatever he presents, it'll be fun. But people are assuming that his wording of legendary is alluding to the Legend of Zelda. And in this case, the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2, or whatever the sequel is going to be called. And I also think this is probably a little bit of a reach. Why? Reggie does not work for Nintendo anymore. Could Nintendo be okay with Reggie presenting something related to Nintendo, including Breath of the Wild 2? I think it is conceivable. I'm sure that they have a good relationship. They wouldn't be opposed to that necessarily. The public loves Reggie, fans love Reggie. If he's at the Game Awards and he presents Breath of the Wild 2, that'll be very exciting. So I don't think it's impossible that it could happen, but also he doesn't work for Nintendo anymore, so it's not a guarantee that he's going to present something from Nintendo. In fact, I would say it's more likely that he's going to present something that's not Nintendo. Every time we've seen Reggie do something with the gaming industry, while he will talk about his past with Nintendo, if he's announcing something or working with someone else, it's not about Nintendo anymore. Just a history is. So this time around, I feel like it's probably safer to assume that whatever he's presenting, it's not about Nintendo. Because that's how most of his things have been since he's left Nintendo. Basically, I don't think that these things that people are sort of hoping are teases for Breath of the Wild 2 are teases for Breath of the Wild 2 at the Game Awards. And to sort of add more reason to doubt these rumors, quote unquote, is what Geoff Keighley said on November 30th. There are so many bad/wrong Game Awards rumors out there. Beware. Now, I'm not saying the Breath of the Wild 2 rumors are the only rumors. There are other rumors out there, but the Breath of the Wild 2 ones are certainly some of the most prevalent. So when you see Geoff Keighley point this out, it does put a damper on the potential teases that Geoff or Reggie could be providing. But at the same time, he could be saying that to throw us off, or he could just simply be saying that to make sure we keep our expectations in check here. So ultimately what I'm trying to get at here, I think all of these potential teases, they're not for Breath of the Wild 2. I do not think they are making any direct mention of this for Breath of the Wild 2. It's possible, but I would say it's unlikely. That said, that does not mean I don't think Breath of the Wild 2 won't be at Game Awards 2021. In fact, I do. In fact, I've been talking about it multiple times every week for the last few weeks. I am predicting that Breath of the Wild 2 will show up into some capacity at Game Awards 2021, and I actually think we'll get a title reveal, a full title reveal at the Game Awards. I don't know this, I simply suspect this. I have multiple videos talking about why I think it's likely, but the biggest reason why, it's because it's one of Nintendo's biggest games that's coming out next year. Its predecessor, Breath of the Wild, had a number of showcases at multiple Game Awards a few years ago, and Smash Ultimate, which has been sort of Nintendo's big thing to show off at the Game Awards the last few years, is now done. So what will Nintendo move on to? Breath of the Wild 2 seems like a pretty good bet, even though the teases probably aren't for specifically Breath of the Wild 2. But what do you guys think? Do you guys think that there are some clear teases for Breath of the Wild 2 here? Do you agree with me that while they're not actually teases, Breath of the Wild 2 is still likely? Or do you think that Breath of the Wild 2 just won't be at the show? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And before we go, I would like to point out that if I'm wrong about this prediction, I am willing to do something that will be some sort of a punishment for being wrong on here. I haven't fully decided it yet. I asked you guys what you thought a few weeks ago, so again, share your opinions on that, and I will announce what I will do very soon if I am wrong about my Game Awards Breath of the Wild 2 prediction. But anyways, everyone, this is On Just Restart. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and I'll see you all really soon. Take care.